Hey guys, out here in the garage today doing some shop maintenance. If you take a look over there, you can see that that door is completely plasticed off. It's starting to get very cold out here in the northeast. There's my tarp behind my garage door. That window is glass, that one's okay. That window is also plastic because it's essentially non-existent, as well as that one there. And we've got my plastic door thing here because I don't have a proper door. So I'm just trying to keep a little bit of heat in here. I've gone through and insulated all these upper rafter areas with plastic and foam and whatever else, but I got the racing mower here in the middle of the floor for no real good reason. It's just I'm afraid of tripping over it or dropping something on it, so I got to get it racked back up and clean some stuff up in here because this place is a mess. And just look at this mess. Workbench is already covered all over again. Just got random pieces and parts laying everywhere. Clone motor sitting there half assembled. And just stuff scattered everywhere. Just got a pile of wood sitting here. And that's not even good wood, that's pine. It sucks. So there, I got her back on the rack. And I have been working on this thing a little bit here and there. I've been tweaking lots of stuff. I was still having a little issue with a little bit of fuel cap leakage because the surface directly underneath where the fuel cap seals wasn't totally flat, so I had to block sand that down. I had to adjust the throttle linkage down one link because I pulled the air filter off and looked into the throttle housing, and when I functioned the throttle I was just kind of checking things, and I noticed that my throttle was only opening up like, I don't know, 7/8 of the way. It wasn't going totally flat, the blade, it was kind of like this at an angle, so I was never really getting wide open throttle, which kind of sucks. Another thing I discovered was my timing that I had set, for lack of better words, was way fucking off. I was unaware that these flywheels, you can barely see it deep inside there, that billet aluminum flywheel, mine's adjustable, and those timing marks, which actually you can see right there, you can see those little tick marks, little timing marks. Maybe you can't if it's a shitty quality video, but each one of those marks represents 2 degrees of timing. I had assumed they represented 1 degree of timing, so my timing was way off. So now it's actually dialed back to where it's supposed to be. Something else that was wrong was the driver clutch was out of alignment with the driven pulley. It kind of sucked because it chewed through a belt. I had to put a new belt on there. It didn't ruin the belt, but it was almost, you know, ruined. It was close. The cords were coming undone. But I had to see if I can get the camera in here, but I had to put some spacers in the crankshaft between the crank and the driver pulley to push the driver out a little bit because it was chewing on the outside edge of that belt. So I got that all corrected, and hopefully that belt system will work a little bit better. It seemed to work fine as it was, but maybe it'll work a little better now. Something else I did was I actually changed the sprocket on the driven clutch. It comes from the factory with a 10 tooth, and I dropped it to a 9 tooth. So it's a little lower gearing because I felt like it was bogging as it was trying to accelerate, and it wasn't really getting to high RPM, but that also could have been because of my timing and because of my throttle not opening all the way up, so hopefully I didn't re-gear it for no reason. But, you know, whatever. Tweaking is a never-ending process, and I've changed a lot on this thing over the past couple weeks. So the next thing I take it for a ride, it's probably going to have way more low-end torque than it ever has, which is going to be kind of scary considering it had quite a bit before. Yeah, so I'm an idiot. I can't believe I had the timing that far off. I think your timing on these GX200s when they're modified, they come from the factory at 20 degrees below top dead center. People usually change them to anywhere from 24 to 28 for a modified motor. I had mine probably up around 32 degrees below top dead center, which is about 4 degrees beyond recommended settings for running regular pump gas. I mean, if you're on methanol or alcohol or stuff like that, you know, it's a little more acceptable. I can't believe the engine was running like that and that it was running as good as it was, but I dialed it way back. The ARC billet aluminum flywheel at a 0 setting, I assumed was at 20 degrees. It's not. It sits at 25 because they also use these flywheels in the GX160, which automatically has a 4-degree advance over the 200. I know it sounds confusing. It's because it is. It took me a long time to figure out what the hell I was doing wrong, and once I figured it out, I was like, oh my god, all this time I've been running with shitty timing. So now that I've got it dialed back in, the timing, I've got the throttle should open up all the way now. The clutch should work a little bit better. It's geared a little bit lower, so it should allow it to get through the mid and high RPMs a little bit better, and maybe actually top the motor out right around 6 or 7 grand, because that's what it's supposed to do, and so far I've only got it up to about 5. So we'll see how it goes next time I drive it. It's probably going to be an eye-opening experience. But enough about the racing mower. This isn't a racing mower update necessarily. This is more of a shop update, and I've got some winterizing to do in here. The Murray mower is still completely covered in mud from the creek video I did about a week or 2 ago. I haven't driven this thing in a while, so that was pretty awesome. But yeah, you can see my air pockets in here. I just have like foam packing, just these holes everywhere, and I just got to figure out a better system for this. I don't necessarily worried to seal this off completely and insulate it, because this is such a small shop. Here, I'll stand in the corner. It's not very big from one end to the other. I haven't measured it, but if I had to guess, I would say it was probably 25 feet by 15 feet. Yeah, it's not huge, and it's pretty easy for this little wood stove to heat this place. It's not a problem, especially if you put a fan over there in that corner. Blows around, does great. But yeah, I wish I should upgrade these bulbs to fluorescents. I might do that this winter. Yeah, we've got parts everywhere. This, I think this is a genuine OEM Honda flywheel. And actually this is the offset key that came with my NR racing motor. You can see it's been ground down and stepped for an 8-degree offset, which I didn't need this key because I have the adjustable flywheel. Here's the clone flywheel, and here's a little fun fact for you guys. They always say the Honda flywheels are, you know, usable to a higher RPM than the clone flywheels, and this is probably why. What usually happens is the magnet flies off, and you can see that the Honda magnet, which is obviously covered in shit, it's like bolted down in the center, and you know, the casting around it all looks, it's pretty beefy. You come over here to the clone, and I mean, it's also bolted down in the middle, and there's like holes drilled everywhere, I'm assuming to balance the weight from this side to this side, because they didn't want to take the time to actually cast it balanced, so they just drilled holes to lighten one side. So now you've basically weakened this whole corner and this whole corner, so this whole thing can come ripping off at high RPMs. So these clone flywheels aren't even as good as the fucking metal they're built with. Here's something neat I just found, I forgot I had, or made for that matter. It's a piece of 1-inch pipe and a triangular piece of steel, and I just cut the tip off there and welded it to the pipe and sharpened the end. And this is what I was making kindling with for a while, until I it's gonna sound crazy, until I found my butcher's knife.
Once I found this fucking butcher's knife, I just make all kinds of kindling. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, homemade tomahawk. Alright, so we're making some progress. I'm not concentrating so much on cleaning up as much as I am trying to seal this place off for the winter, because I figure I can clean this place up more later. But you can't see it now, but I nailed some slats. These wooden slat things you get, they're really cheap, they're made of aspen. But I nailed them in across the top up there and down one side for the tarp. And I even was able to repair some of these old panels and put them back in to keep some of the wind out. You can see I still got a little bit of an air gap there. And obviously no windows. But yeah, it's actually starting to get pretty warm in here. I'm surprised. It's, you know, like 30 degrees outside, so it's not really cold. But I can definitely feel, you know, not so much wind pulling through here as much. And that's pretty nice. So this winter it should be a lot better in here than it was last winter. As far as cleanup stuff, I'm only about 1 beer into the whole ordeal here. And yes, I drink twisted tea. Fucking judge me if you want to. I don't give a shit. There. Got that all plasticed off. I'll tell you what, it's a hell of a lot warmer in here. It's like almost 65 degrees. Pretty sweet. No insulation in this building at all. One other place where I had an air leak that I didn't really realize was up around the stovepipe. And I had a hard time figuring out what I was going to put in there that wasn't flammable, that wouldn't burn when I heated up the stovepipe, when I, you know, have fires and everything like I am right now. So I grabbed some tin foil from inside the house in the kitchen and jammed it in there, and it seemed to do the trick. You can see a little bit of daylight, but whatever. There's bigger air gaps in other places like there. So there, now that I got a lot of that winterizing BS out of the way, I can concentrate more on cleaning this place up and start working on some projects again, because it's getting cold and I can't do anything outside. And took a break for a little while trying to get our cars legal for the road, which I did a video on the G-rocker panels and stuff like that, and I got some other videos coming up, so hopefully I'll start rolling them out here soon. But yeah, stay tuned for those. I'm going to call it a day right now. I'm getting hungry, it's getting dark, fire's going out, and I'm not going to keep it going, so I'm going to go in and eat some dinner and edit some video, and we'll see you guys later.